Hi team, this is your friend Angel welcoming you all to Aarchi series by Heaven's Publishing House. And this children is your English series for class 8. Now, the following complaints parents usually have against their teenage children. So, all the parents have one or the other complaint with their children, right? So, let's see what are some of the complaints that are usually there. Parents say that they don't help in household chores, they watch too much TV, they watch too much phone, they don't take interest in their studies, and there are many more such complaints that parents have with their child, right? Now, this lesson is also about two brothers, one of whom is very naughty and his mother has certain complaints with him, right? So this lesson tells us about a boy who missed his home so much that he nearly was bedridden and close to death. He was so close to his mother, but due to his constant misbehavior, because he was constantly misbehaving with his mother and with his younger brother, his mother sent him away, and therefore there he fell ill and he was so close to death. This is the story about a boy who was sent away by his mother because of his bad behavior. Right. So let's get started. Fateh Chakravarti was the ringleader among the boys of the village. He was a ruler of their group, of their band of boys. Right? A new idea for a mischief got into his head. It was a new idea of a trick or a prank. There was a heavy log lying on the muddy bank of the river. He decided that they should all work together to shift the log from its place. He decided that let's move this log from its place. The owner of the log would be angry and they would all enjoy the fun. He's saying that the person who owns the log, when he will find the log missing, he will be very angry and we will all have so much fun watching him. Right? But just as fun was about to begin, just as they were about to move the log from its place, Makhan, who was Fateh's younger brother, sauntered up. Sauntered up means he walked very slowly towards them and sat down on the log. He came and sat down on the log they were planning to move. He appeared like a young philosopher. Here, the younger brother, Makhan, is being compared to a young philosopher, meditating on the futility of gaze. Like he was a young philosopher who was thinking seriously, he was meditating on the futility or uselessness of gaze. Right? Patek was furious. He was very angry. Makhan, he cried, if you don't get down this minute, I'll trash you. If you don't get down from the log this very moment, I am going to trash you. I am going to beat you. Right? Makhan only moved to a more comfortable position. He was not threatened by his elder brother. What he did, he just moved and sat again to a more comfortable position on the log. Now, if one was to keep his real dignity before the public in front of his friends, it was clear he ought to carry out his threat. Now, it was must, it came to his dignity that he must carry out his threat, right? He gave the command to roll the log and knock him over together. Now he ordered his group, his friends, that let's roll the log with Makhan sitting on it. Right? Makhan heard the order and made it a point of honor to take on. Now, Makhan was also very adamant. He said that after listening the order, he decided that I am going to Stick with my honor. He took it upon his honor of not moving away from the log. He also kept sitting there, and his brother was bent upon moving the log away in order to keep his dignity in front of his face. Right. The boys began to heave at the log, started pushing and moving the log with all their might, calling out, 1, 2, 3, go. At the word go, the log went. It moved, and with it went Makhan's philosophy, glory, and all. And when the log moved, Makhan also fell off, and with him went all his glory, all his philosophy that he was displaying there. Right? Makhan rose and rushed at Pathak and scratched his face, beat him and kicked him. So Makhan was so angry that all his coolness was gone and he charged at his elder brother Pathak. He scratched his face, he started beating him, he kicked him, and then he went home crying. The first act of the drama was over. This was the first act of drama that was taking place. Karthik wiped his face and sat down on the edge of a sunken barge. What is a barge, children? It is a long boat with a flat bottom. It has a flat bottom, and he was sitting on a sunken barge on the river bank and began to chew a blade of grass. He absent-mindedly picked up a blade of grass and he was chewing on it. A boat came up to the landing and a middle-aged man stepped on shore. He asked Pathak where the Chakravartis live. He asked Pathak, he was sitting there, that where do the Chakravartis live? Pathak went on chewing the grass. He didn't pay attention to him and said, go and find out yourself. He was so rude that he did not even reply to him properly. He said, go and find out yourself. When Pathak came into the house, his mother said angrily, so you have been hitting Makhan again. Makhan had gone home crying, and he had said that his elder brother had hit him, right? He had beaten him. So when he came to his house, his mother started scolding him. Pathak answered indignantly. Indignantly means very angrily he answered, no, I haven't. Who told you that? Very angry because he was not the one who had beaten his brother, who had beaten up his brother. It was the other way round. Right? His mother shouted, don't lie, you have beaten up Makhan. I tell you, I haven't. Half Makhan, Pathak replied. He said, I'm telling you the truth. I have not beaten up Makhan. You go and ask him. But Makhan, he said, yes, mother, Pathak, they took me. He lied in front of his mother. Pathak could not bear this injustice any longer. He rushed at Makhan and hammered him with blows for telling lies. Now what happened? Pathak lost his control and he started hammering his brother, started beating his brother in front of his mother. So, telling lies. His mother pulled Pathak away, beating him with her hands and shouting him. Now, his mother started beating him and shouting at him. It was at this critical juncture, at this point of time, that the grey-haired stranger arrived. The man who Pathak had seen on the river bank, he arrived at their home. It was the man Pathak had met in the morning. As soon as his mother saw the stranger, her anger changed to surprise. She was so surprised to see that stranger that her anger had vanished away. It was her brother Bishamber. It was her mother's brother Bishamber. She bowed to touch his feet. The next few days were full of rejoicing. They had very enjoyable next few days since they had someone at their home, right? A guest at their home. The brother asked after the education of the two boys. He was told by his sister that Pathak was a perpetual nuisance. That means he was a continuing nuisance. He always used to give trouble to her mother, to his mother. he was lazy, disobedient, and quiet. His mother said that he continues to trouble me, he is very lazy, he is very disobedient, and also a wild child. But Makhan was as good as gold. He said, Makhan is as good as gold, as quiet as a lamb. See, these two are examples of similes. She's comparing Makhan to gold, to a lamb. She's saying he's as good as gold and as quiet as a lamb. When we compare one thing to the other using words like and as, this is figure of speech called simile. Right? Very fond of reading. She said that Makhan is also very fond of reading. Vishwambar kindly offered to take Pathak off his sister's hand and educate him with his own children in Calcutta. Vishwambar, he said that why don't I take Pathak with myself and educate him with my own daughters in with my own sons in Calcutta. Right? The widow's mother readily agreed. Now she was widowed also, and it was becoming very difficult for her to manage both the boys on her own. She very readily agreed to send Pathik with his uncle. It was an immense relief to get rid of Pathik. She was relieved, right? Though she was somewhat distressed to see his extreme eagerness to get away. Now, one day she was very, very relieved to get rid of him, and also she was very distressed, somewhat surprised and sad to see that her son was also very, very eager to get away from her. When they reached Calcutta, Pathak made the acquaintance of his aunt for the first time. That means he met his aunt for the very first time. And she was by no means pleased with this unnecessary addition to her family. And she did not look pleased at all by this unnecessary addition. That means she already had 3 boys and she did not like it that another addition was made to their family. She found her own 3 boys quite enough to manage, and to bring a village lad of 14 into the midst was terribly upsetting. She found that she already had 3 boys, 3 difficult boys to deal with, and on top of that, there was another boy that she had to take care of. She was very, very upset because of that. It was anguish to Pathak, realizing this, that he was not welcome at his uncle's place. He had anguish. That means he had this great mental pain that he was feeling. Right? Anguish means mental pain. It was anguish to Pathak to be an unwelcome guest in his aunt's house. Despite that means he was hated and slighted on every occasion. He was made to feel small. He was belittled on every occasion. Right? He longed, he wished to go back to his village home. What he used to remember about his village? The glorious meadow where he used to fly his kite all day long, the broad river banks where he would wander about, singing and shouting when he wanted, the narrow brook. Brook is a stream, a small stream of water, where he could dive and swim as he liked. So all these things were coming back to him. He was recalling and remembering the good times he used to spend at his village. He thought of his band of companions over whom he was a despot. A despot means a leader or a cruel ruler, right? He used to rule them. Above all, the memory of his tyrant, cruel ruler. Tyrant also means a cruel ruler who was his mother, occupied him all day and night. So thoughts of his mother and also his friends, his band of companions used to come to his mind all day and all night long. Right? He thought of his band of companions. We have done this in school. Pathak was the most unresponsive boy. He did not used to take part in all the discussions that used to happen in the class. He was very, very unresponsive. He gave and remained silent when the teacher asked him a question. Whenever he was asked a question, he simply used to stare blankly at the teacher and he did not have any answer. When other boys were out at play, he stood wistfully by the window. When all the other boys were busy playing in the ground, he would simply stand wistfully, sadly by the window. Okay. One day he gathered all his courage and asked his uncle, when can I go home? He wanted to go back home. His uncle answered, wait till the holidays in November. He said that, wait, I will send you back, but I will do it in your holidays. That is in November. That was indeed a long wait. There was still a lot of time for November to come. Right? Patrick lost his lesson book soon. Day after day, the teacher would cane him. She would beat him with a stick mercilessly. She did not have any mercy on Patrick and she used to beat him very badly. At last, he went to his aunt and told her that he had lost his book. At last, he gathered enough courage to tell his aunt that I have lost my lesson book. And what did his aunt reply? His aunt contemptuously, very angrily, she shouted, you clumsy country lout. Is a country lout? A rude or a stupid young man, a stupid boy, according to her. He was clumsy country lout. How can I afford with all my family to buy you new books 5 times a month? That I don't have enough money to keep buying you new books every time, right? So she was very, very angry at Patrick. That day, on his way back from school, Patrick had a headache with a bit of shivering. He was having this headache and also his body was shaking. It was shivering. He felt he was going to have an attack of malarial fever. He got to know that he was going to catch malarial fever. He was afraid that he would be a nuisance to his aunt. He knew that if he went sick to the home, back to his aunt's home, he would become a trouble, a problem for his aunt, a nuisance for his aunt, and he did not want to give her any more trouble. Later that day, Patrick was nowhere to be seen. The rain had been pouring in torrents. There was heavy rain that was pouring that day. At last, Dishamber sought the help of the police. When evening came and there was no sign of Patrick, his uncle, he sought the help of police to find Patrick. At the end of the day, policemen stopped at the door before the house. The police were able to find Patrick and a van came and stopped in front of their door. It was still raining when 2 constables brought out Patrick in their arms. They were carrying Patrick in their arms. He was not in a state. He was wet through, muddy all over. He was all wet and he had mud all over his clothes. His face and eyes flushed red with fever. His eyes were red and hot with fever and his limbs all trembling. His arms and his legs were all trembling and shaking. His legs and his arms were trembling because of the fever. Dishamber carried him inside in his right. When his wife saw him, she exclaimed, what a heap of trouble this boy has given us. And you better send him home. She's saying that so much trouble this boy has caused us. Why don't you send him back home? Patrick heard her words and sobbed out loud. Patrick heard her aunt say all those mean words and he sobbed out. He was crying out and he said to his uncle, uncle, I was going home, but they dragged me back. Again, he said that I was going back home only. I didn't want to cause trouble to aunt. That is why I was going back home. But these policemen, they dragged me back home. They dragged me back here. The fever rose very high. The boy was delirious. He was not in the right state of mind because of the fever. Vishwambar brought in a doctor. He called the doctor. Fateh opened his eyes, flushed with fever, red with fever, and looked up to the ceiling. He started looking up towards the ceiling and said vacantly. Vacantly means very sadly. He said, Uncle, have the holidays come yet? May I go home now? He is asking his uncle if he is so delirious because of his illness. He is not able to think right. So he's saying, Uncle, have the holidays come? Can I go back home now? Vishwambar wiped the tears from his eyes. He started crying because of the sad state his nephew was in, and sat by him through the night. He kept sitting by him all night. The next day, when Fatik became conscious for a short while, he turned his eyes about the room as if expecting to see someone. He woke up for a short period of time out of his unconscious state, and he started looking everywhere all around the room. Disappointed, he turned his face to the wall with a deep sigh. He was disappointed, for he did not found what he was looking for. He did not find what he was looking for, and he turned towards the wall with a deep sigh, with sadness in his feelings. Right? Vishwambar knew his thoughts and whispered, Fatik, I have sent for your mother. He knew that he was looking for his mother. The doctor said in a troubled voice that the boy's condition was very critical, that he was very serious and he was close to death, and his mother should be called very soon. Patrick began to cry out, by the mark, 3 fathoms, by the mark, 4 fathoms, by the mark. He had heard the sailor on the steamer calling out the mark, the plumb line. Now, what is a plumb line, children? It is a line which has a plumb attached to it, and it is used to measure the depth of the water, right? So, these sailors, they keep on calling by the mark 3 fathoms, by the mark 4 fathoms. They keep on measuring the depth of the water. So, since he was so delirious, he was also saying all these calling. So, he was calling out like this. Now, he was himself plumbing an unfathomable sea. That means he was fighting for his life. He was counting time, right? Later in the day, Fatik's mother came, and seeing him cried, Fatik, my darling, his mother, she started crying upon seeing the sad state of her son. Fatik slowly turned his head and said, Mother, the holidays have come. Finally, he thought that now that he could see his mother, that means the holidays have come, right? So, this is a very, very interesting chapter by Rabindranath Tagore, right? Now, what is the moral that you learn from this chapter, children? Children are usually very, very attached to their parents, brothers, and sisters. They miss them when they are away from home for a long period of time. Sometimes they feel so homesick that they become seriously ill, as we could see in this chapter that Fatik, when he was taken away from his mother, whom he loved so much, he nearly died, right? He felt so ill, he missed her so much, and he felt so ill that he was so close to the death, right? Now, read and write. Who was the stranger? Who was the stranger that Fatik saw that morning? Yes, it was Fatik's uncle, right? Number 2, Fatik remained dash the class. How was he in the class? He was very, very silent, very, very unresponsive. Okay. Fatik was infected with malarial fever. So, he. Number 4, in spite of having fever, Fatik was going back to his village, right? He did not want to trouble his aunt anymore. Number 5, Fatik was waiting for his holidays. He was waiting for his holidays so that he can go back to his mother, so that he could go back home, right? Here, okay, now we fill in the blank. There was a dash log lying on the muddy bank of the river. Yes, there was a heavy log. Right? Number 2, Dash heard the order and made it a point of honor to stick on. Who took it upon his honor to stick on that log? Yes, it was Markham. Right? Number 3, it was at this critical dash that the grey-haired traitor arrived. It was at this critical juncture. Right? Juncture. Right, children? Number 4, she bowed to touch his feet, touch the feet of her brother. Number 5, Dash wiped tears from his eyes and sat by him through the night. Fatik's uncle, that is Bishambar. Bishambar. Right? Clear to all of you? Good. Now, true or false? An old idea for mischief got into Fatik's head. What was the was it an old idea of mischief? No, it was a new idea for mischief. So it is false. Number 2, Fatik could not bear this injustice any longer. Yes, it is true. Number 3, Makhan only moved to a more uncomfortable position. No, he moved to an even more comfortable position. So this is false. Number 4, in school, Patat was the most unresponsive boy. Yes, he was. So true. Number 5, that was indeed a long wait for Fatik. Yes, November was a long wait for Fatik. So true again. Number 6, Fatik's mother brought in a doctor. Was it his mother? No, it was his uncle Bishambar who called the doctor. So it is false. Right, children? Good. Now let's answer the following questions. Okay. Number 1, why did Patik's mother describe him as a perpetual nuisance? So his mother found that he was a perpetual nuisance because he continued to trouble her. He was a lazy and a wild child. So she found him as a perpetual, as a continuing nuisance. Right? Find 2 examples of similes in the story. Right? I told you, Makhan was compared as good as a gold, and there was as what do we say, as quiet as a lamb, and then he was also compared to a young philosopher. He said, Makhan was like a young philosopher. So all these are examples of simile. Right? Number 3, what did Patrick remember about his village? So what were all the things that he was remembering about his village? He used to remember the big meadow where he used to fly kites. He used to miss the brook where he could dive and swim whenever he wanted. He used to recall the what you say river banks, the broad river banks where he could shout and sing all day long. Also, he was remembering his band of companions, his friends who he used to rule upon. He was a leader in their gang, right? So all these things he used to remember. How did Patik's teacher and his aunt treat him when he lost his lesson book. But his teacher, she beat him very badly with a stick. She caned him very badly, and his aunt, she very contemptuously scolded him that she could not afford to get him new lesson book 5 times a month. Right? Number 5. Explain the two meanings of the word plump as used in the story. So, firstly, the plump is used with respect to the sailors when they check the, the measurement of the depth of the water. And secondly, it is used as a life of cutting, which he was counting like an unfathomable sea, right? He was counting on the time he had left with him, right? Clear to all of you? Good. So children, that was all for this chapter. I hope you had fun learning with your friends, right? So I'll see you guys with my next chapter. Till then, stay blessed and stay elated. Bye children.